past 3 years, what are you proud that you've instilled in this team?
Probably just the, calmness, development, and, on and off the floor, a winning mindset, those couple things probably.
Welcome to Inside the Mavs, presented by Aura. My name is Kevin Gray, Dallas Mavericks Pre and Post-Game host on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. Appreciate you joining me here for the latest episode of Inside the Mavs. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel at Kevin Gray Sports, make sure you like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. And you can find the Inside the Mavs podcast wherever you get your podcast for free. Give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while you're there. And you can find it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast for free. The Dallas Mavericks getting ready to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder in game number 1 of their Western Conference semifinal matchup. As the Mavericks took out the Clippers, of course, in 6 games, the Thunder took out the Pelicans in a clean sweep to set up this matchup of 2 of the most talented teams in the league. And for the Dallas Mavericks, it continues to be a really good season, not just during the regular season where they won 50 games, but also during the postseason where the second time in the last 3 years they've been able to advance in the playoffs. And you heard Jason Kidd at the beginning of our show because Jason Kidd received a new multi-year contract extension from the Dallas Mavericks. During the course of our show, you will hear from Jason Kidd. I also had a chance to sit down with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford as well as he talked to me about the mindset that the Mavericks have going into this series against the Thunder. But we start with Jason Kidd and the fact that for the second time in 3 seasons as head coach of the Mavericks, he has guided the Mavericks to at least 50 wins, of course, 52 wins in his first year. And now this year, 50 wins for the Mavericks. They have advanced to the Western Conference semifinals this season. In his first year, of course, they went all the way to the Western Conference Finals before losing to the Golden State Warriors. And they also won a division title this year, did the Dallas Mavericks. So for Kidd, he has earned this extension and now a multi-year extension. There are also reports from Shams Charania of The Athletic that Nico Harrison, the general manager, is also in line for a contract extension. Of course, Nico Harrison, one of the executives of the year in my mind because of the moves that he was able to make in acquiring P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. Also, the signings of Dante Exum and Derrick Jones Jr. have proven valuable for this team throughout the course of this year. But the story here is that Jason Kidd, who has been much maligned at times because, no one's dying, has found himself in a position where he will be the leader of this franchise as their head coach moving forward for years to come. And it's a testament to the work that not only he's been able to do, because yes, for me at times, I've been very critical. There have been plenty of us who have been very critical of Jason Kidd's time as head coach here in Dallas. But at the same time, his players love him. They want to play for him. And he has guided this team to success and has done so with Luka Dončić and now Kyrie Irving. I encourage you to read the piece from Mark J. Spears of ESPN that he put out on Monday, detailing the relationship that Kyrie Irving has not only had with the Dallas Mavericks, but particularly Jason Kidd and Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison having known Kyrie Irving since his AAU days, and of course when Harrison was an executive at Nike. And for Jason Kidd, who shares a birthday with Kyrie Irving, knows him extremely well, and the relationship that they've developed throughout the course of their time here in Dallas has helped Kyrie Irving thrive. And for Luka and Kyrie, having a coach like Jason Kidd, who at 51 years of age has gone through not only the ups and downs of when he was in Brooklyn and also in Milwaukee, but was able to learn under Frank Vogel when he was in Los Angeles. And of course, there were rumors that Jason Kidd could be the new head coach with the Los Angeles Lakers after the Lakers fired Darvin Ham after just a couple of seasons there. The Mavericks moved quickly to secure their man and move forward with him as the leader of this franchise. And for Dončić and Irving, it means stability for them going forward, because think back to what just the Mavericks were dealing with a year ago. A team that went 5-11 with Kyrie Irving and Luka Dončić in the lineup together, going nowhere fast, missing the playoffs and the play-in altogether, and getting a lottery pick. Now, of course, that turned into Derek Lively II when he's been terrific this season for the Mavericks, but there were a lot of questions about whether or not Jason Kidd could be the man moving forward for this team, and he has proven this season that he is the man for now for the job for the Mavericks as he continues to be their head coach. And for them, that is a nice thing to have, knowing that you're going to have stability in your front office with Nico Harrison and with your head coach moving forward, because both of them, of course, were hired at the same time. For Harrison, there were questions about whether or not he could make the transition from being a Nike executive to be an executive within the front office of the NBA, and has done so nicely, continuously taking swings to try and make this team better, building a roster that Jason Kidd needs in order to be successful that's based on defense. And you saw during the second half of the year, this team in their most meaningful games when they went 16-2 had the number one defense in the NBA. And that vision that Jason Kidd has been able to put forward for this team continues to be the foundation on what they want to do moving forward. In fact, Jason Kidd had a chance to discuss the new contract extension that he had, and he's obviously thankful for the opportunity, but he believes that this organization, led by Nico Harrison and this entire executive front office, is building a championship team, as he describes here.
I'm very thankful for Patrick and Nico, and to be able to have a new deal going forward. Truly believe, Patrick and Nico are building a championship team, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
What does that mean to you that they saw the job that you've done and they appreciated it and they rewarded you accordingly?
Yeah, it means a lot. The work that the coaching staff and the players are putting in, means a lot, and hopefully they saw that, and through the good and through the stuff that we had to get better at, this is work in progress. This is a very talented team, and so to be a part of it, I'm very blessed.
So for Kidd, he believes that this organization is going in the right direction, and to be the leader of this franchise, he is obviously grateful for the opportunity to do that for multiple years. And when you think about Kidd as a head coach, there have been a lot of questions about his demeanor and the way that he goes about handling the media at times. But most importantly, his players follow his lead, and his calm demeanor has allowed this team to experience the highs and lows of what they've gone through over now the last 3 seasons with him as head coach, to the point where they are taking on his identity. And for any team that is successful, one of the hallmarks of that particular team is they take on the identity of their head coach. And we've seen that proven time and time again. You think about just this year alone, this team won 23 games in the clutch. It was one of the best clutch teams in the NBA, even being down by 31 points in game 4 of their first round matchup with the Los Angeles Clippers. They were able to withstand it and make a comeback. Ultimately, they fell, but you saw how that springboarded them to winning games 5 and 6. And that, to me, is what the Mavericks continue to utilize, is the fact that they are not going to get too high or too low during the course of a game. And as Jason Kidd talked about with me during the weekend, the idea being that this Mavericks team has learned how to continuously grow as a team. When things go wrong, they'll talk about it, they'll be able to fix it, but they have the trust, the communication, and the ability to believe in one another that they will be able to turn things around when things don't necessarily go their way. And that's another testament to Jason Kidd and what he's been able to do to instill for this team. So for Luka Dončić and Kyrie Irving, stability at the top is paramount. And for Kyrie Irving, who signed a 3-year, $126 million contract, he will continue to be alongside Jason Kidd, whom at times he's called a big brother as his relationship has gone on, because we know how much Kyrie Irving has loved Jason Kidd, grew up as a fan favorite of Kidd and loved him throughout the course of his time as a basketball player. And now having him being his head coach, that relationship has just continued to flourish. And Kyrie Irving has found his peace and comfortability in Dallas. And a major part of that is because of Jason Kidd and Nico Harrison, and particularly Kidd's ability to connect with him, not just on a basketball level, but on a personal level. Because no matter how you may feel about Jason Kidd, one of the hallmarks of a really good coaches is their ability to connect with their players day in and day out and understand them, not just for what they do on the floor, but also off the floor as well, to give them the idea that they can come to them and discuss anything with them. And that's exactly what Jason Kidd has done. So you give him a ton of credit for the way that he's been able to put himself in this position and earn the ability to continue to lead this team going forward. How he continues to grow with this team and how much further he can take them now ultimately becomes the question, because can he be recognized as one of the best in the league when we start getting deeper into the postseason and consistently over and over and over again taking this team to the playoffs? Because I said it last year at the end of last season, the amount of step back that the Mavericks took was the only kind of step back that they needed to take in the Luka Dončić era. And Jason Kidd now has to continue to push the envelope and push this team forward to ensure that he is the man that can be considered in the upper echelon of coaches, especially if he's going to continue to lead this franchise, because the expectations are to win a championship. And that's what Jason Kidd is going to be tasked to do going forward with him leading this franchise. More on this in my conversation with Daniel Gafford on the other side of the break. But before we get there, let's hear from today's sponsor of our video and our podcast, and let's hear from Aura. Today's video is brought to you by Aura. Do a Google search on your name and email address to see how much information comes up about you. I was devastated by the amount of information that I could be seeing searching my name and profile, and I knew then I needed to be protected for not just myself, but also for my family. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats that I can't see. It's really easy to set up, so I don't have to download several different apps to get things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more. I get everything at one affordable price. You may already have one of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work to protect me and my family so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to aura.com/Kevin Gray to start your 2-week free trial. Please see the link in the description. Back here on Inside the Mavs. Thank you so much for hanging out with us through that quick break. And thank you to today's sponsor of our video on our podcast, in Aura, as Jason Kidd has received a new multi-year contract extension to remain the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks for years to come, providing stability and comfort going forward for a team that has been able to get back to the postseason for the second time in 3 years as they get ready to take on an Oklahoma City Thunder team that was top 4 in both offensive and defensive rating and number 2 overall in net rating this NBA season. And a team in the Mavericks that finally got over the hump against the Los Angeles Clippers now has a golden opportunity when they take on the Thunder to get back to the Western Conference Finals for the second time in the last 3 years. And for Kidd, that success has been built upon the foundation of not just his superstars and Luka Dončić and now Kyrie Irving and what they were able to do in taking out the Clippers, but also built on the foundation of defense. And for Jason Kidd, that has been a hallmark of what he's wanted to build for his teams throughout the course of his coaching career. And while there were struggles in building that initially here in Dallas, this year he's been able to take that next step, and it's been built on not just the defense of the guys like Derek Lively II, the acquired PJ Washington, but also for Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford, of course, in his 6th season, 29 games for the Dallas Mavericks, shooting 78% in his 29 games with the Mavericks, scoring 11 points per game during the regular season, averaging over 7 rebounds and also 2 blocks per game, while also leading the NBA in field goal percentage, and of course, setting the play-by-play era record for most consecutive field goals, having two streaks of over 30 made field goals this season. And he has been absolutely terrific. And while he struggled early on in the Clippers series, he was able to come on down the stretch. And obviously, in the closeout game where he had the 13 points, was a plus 17 in the 22 minutes that he's played, his tandem alongside Derek Lively II has provided a tremendous center combination and the anchors for Jason Kidd's defense. Again, a team that Jason Kidd wants to be built on the foundations of defense, and they have been able to do that, as we have detailed throughout the course of the second half of the year where they were able to turn things around, when they won 24 out of 31 games, having one of the best records in the NBA since the beginning of February, and more importantly, providing the kind of defensive character that was needed to be able to take out the Clippers, where they held them to under 100 points in 3 games during the course of that series. And it was interesting for me to be able to watch this defense continue to grow, and for Daniel Gafford having the opportunity to be a part of it. And the mindset that's now needed, shifting from the Clippers to now a really deep talented Oklahoma City Thunder team, is going to be paramount for this Mavericks team. I had a chance to sit down with Daniel Gafford to speak with him about not only his experience so far in terms of the playoff intensity, but also what this Mavericks team and their mindset is going into their series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here is my conversation with Mavericks center Daniel Gafford, a really insightful one, as he provides me the context of what the Mavericks are going to be doing, hopefully during this run against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Take a listen. Kevin Gray, Mavs Radio here on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network, here with Mavs center Daniel Gafford ahead of Game 1 between the Mavericks and the Thunder on Tuesday night. And Daniel, for you, another opportunity in another playoff series. What did you learn playing against the Clippers that will help you be able to deal with a really talented Oklahoma City Thunder team in this series?
Really just the energy, level of physicality, and the atmosphere. In all honesty, it's not easy to win in this league at the end of the day, especially when you're playing teams more than once, just like throughout a game-by-game stretch, So really just kind of like locking in to just the game plan, the scheme, and just really just having another level of responsibility going into the game, having that mindset of just like, I really can't slip up in any area right now because that might jeopardize anything that we have trying to go on. So just pretty much all of those things. It was a real big list. I tried to for sure narrow it down, but by the time we had came back, I think before the third game, most definitely. So yeah, most of that was pretty much everything I would say tied into just like the next step I wanted to take when it came to the playoffs for sure.
Take me back to that moment in Game 4 where you guys are down 31. You come back, you're able to take a lead, ultimately fall in Game 4, but you win Games 5 and 6. Mm-hmm. What was the message that came out of that that's helped springboard what you guys have been able to do, and what message can you take from that situation to be able to help you in this series here?
Just piggybacking off of what Kai said earlier in the season when I first got here, where we had kind of went through that little slump that we had. It's real hard to win in this league, and it's going to be tough when it comes to the fact that you let guys get to the things that they want to do on a play-by-play scheme. When it came to when we were down 30 in that game, we were just pretty much letting the Clippers get whatever they wanted. Sure. At the end of the day, they were knocking down threes. They got free throws, and it's just we kind of like drifted apart, but we found ways to just kind of like pull each other back in. Yeah. And there was a lot of frustration, a lot of adversity, and it was obstacles in the way, but we just had to find a way to get through that as a team. And once we did, it's like we hit the ground running. We got the ball back to rolling for us.
Yeah, and now going up against this Thunder team, what's the most difficult and challenging part about dealing with the team with SGA and Chet and what he obviously does in the middle? What's going to be the key to defending this team as good as they are offensively?
Really, in all honesty, just trying to play the game within the game. It's going to be a real tough game when it comes to just like, I'm pretty sure, the officiating at the end of the day, because, Shea is real good at manipulating the game to where you can get fouls. Play-by-play, him and Jalen Williams, they're pretty much like the two-headed monster of that team, and then everybody just follows suit. They got shooters on that team. They're a real young, scrappy team, and it's just we have to play pause. We have to play our game. We can't let them speed us up. We have to go the pace that we want to go. Sure. At the end of the day, they're real scrappy. They reach and stuff. They're going to try to make us force turnovers time and time again, play-by-play, and we just have to, like I said, stay poised, stay calm, cool, and collected, and really just go out and just play the game that we know we can play to help us win.
Yeah, and for those on the outside looking in, how would you describe the intensity of the playoffs? Having gone through, obviously, a tough physical series with the Clippers, how would you describe what that playoff intensity is like as you continue to play in the playoffs?
Oh, man, from jump, just like with that first game when Zubac had the 20 and 15 game, it's just, like big brother fighting little brother at the end of the day, trying to get something from your big brother and you can't get it because of the size and stuff. It's just that's how it felt the first game. We had to adjust. Most definitely me. It's been a minute since I've just been in this position, in all honesty. So it's just with the experience that I had from that first game, I adjusted. It's like I'm gonna come out, be a whole different person at the end of the day. So it's just that adjustment that we made, we took that next step forward to the team that we wanted to be, adjusting to the physicality, the energy. what we wanted to do defensively, what we wanted to do offensively. Everything just kind of followed suit, and we took just like baby steps into just how we wanted to play throughout the series.
Yeah, and now going against the Thunder for this series, for you and this team, still a lot to accomplish in front of you. What's the mindset of this team coming off of that tough series, knowing what's ahead of you, what you guys want to accomplish, obviously, against the Thunder here in this series?
Really just be prepared for anything, expect the unexpected, and just if, the first punch is thrown from now on, we have to be able to react the right way instead of, getting frustrated, holding our heads down early, and just in all honesty, staying together as a team. We got a good team. We got a lot of people that stay on the sideline that really just motivate us whenever we come off the floor for the 5 that are on there. And the energy just is always through the roof when it comes to just playing out there with just all the guys that I've seen, in all honesty. It's always a good time. It's always a good vibe, and the atmosphere is great. We just have to keep that and just be consistent with it. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job with that, just with like the last 2 games that we played in the last series. In all honesty, throughout the ending of the regular season, I feel like we actually, touched the surface for that, and we're trying to figure out how to be consistent in that area.
Last one for you. What message do you have for Mavericks fans about the intensity that they brought during the first round series and what you want to see from them continuing going forward in the playoffs here?
Oh, man, the energy was great. Next round, we hit. It's like a video game. We hit the next level, so the enemies are going to get harder, and the bosses is going to be a little bit more tougher. So the next time we come back into the AA Center, we're going to have to blow the roof off this time, most definitely, because that's exactly what they're going to do in OKC when we go up here.
That is Mavs center Daniel Gafford here on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. Daniel, appreciate the time, my man. And again, appreciate Daniel Gafford for joining me here on Inside the Mavs. And as you can hear from him, obviously a team whose mindset is ready to go, to be ready for the unexpected, to be able to have an understanding that anything could come their way in this series. And it's going to be a challenging one against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But the theme for today being the fact that Daniel Gafford, P.J. Washington, and this entire team will be led by Jason Kidd, who has earned the ability to be able to lead them, not just obviously going forward in the future, but what that means for their ability to be successful in the postseason. And with sticking with guys like Daniel Gafford, who may have struggled early on in the series against the Clippers, now he has an opportunity to continue to grow not only his own game, but more importantly, be a real significant factor in this series. We know that the Oklahoma City Thunder are one of the worst offensive rebounding teams in the NBA this season. In fact, second worst in the league this year, which means Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford will have plenty of opportunities to be able to dominate on the offensive glass. And that mindset that Gafford is talking about is going to be needed throughout the course of this series against the Thunder. The Mavericks will also get some reinforcements as far as Tim Hardaway Jr. is concerned, as Jason Kidd saying on Monday that Tim Hardaway Jr. is available and will play in game number 1 after missing the entire first round series against the Clippers with his ankle sprain. And Hardaway will be counted upon to knock down threes in this series. We know that the Oklahoma City Thunder give up a lot of corner threes. In fact, the most corner threes they give up throughout the course of the regular season. So the Mavericks with P.J. Washington, Tim Hardaway Jr., and others, Derrick Jones Jr. as well, will have plenty of opportunities to knock down corner threes. And we saw during practice on Monday, Luka Dončić, P.J. Washington, and Kyrie Irving specifically working on that corner three-pointer. So again, that much more emphasis on what the Mavericks are going to need to do in this series. And hopefully they'll get back to some of the three-point shooting that we saw during the early part of the year where this team was really doing well from the three-point line. That has not necessarily been the case, especially over the last month or two from the three-point line, and really not much of a factor in terms of the Clippers series. Yes, Maxi Kleber had that huge second quarter in Game 5 that allowed them to, of course, to take what was a 3-2 series lead before closing things out in Dallas. They'll need to be much better from the three-point line, and hopefully with the rest and recuperation for Tim Hardaway Jr., he can be able to be a consistent force from the three-point line, because they're going to need his shooting, his knockdown abilities from beyond the arc to be able to help this team deal with an offensive juggernaut that is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are really good defensively. We detailed that they're top 4 in the NBA in defensive rating this year. They're also number 1 in the league in steals and number 1 in the NBA in blocks, with, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the best steal artists in the NBA, and Chet Holmgren, top 5 block artist in the NBA this year. So the Mavericks will have their work cut out for them. But with the going down of Maxi Kleber, we will see the return of Tim Hardaway Jr. and hopefully some good shooting from him, as we know how streaky THJ can be throughout the course of the game. But for this Mavericks team, it is all systems go for them. They are reinforcing their organization by locking down their leadership with Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd. And if you're a Mavericks fan, knowing that that kind of stability is going to be coming forward for the next several years will hopefully mean this team continues to build on the foundation that they've begun under Kidd with that much more postseason success, not only this year, but beyond, as this team looks forward to the incoming huge extension for Luka Dončić, but also what that means for Kyrie Irving's ability to remain with this organization, hopefully for the remainder of his career. Because with Kidd being here, that gives you obviously the indications that Kyrie Irving isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And for Luka Dončić, that kind of stability, that relationship that he's developed with Kidd means that he's not going anywhere anytime soon, as long as this team continues to do the kind of winning, and they're positioned with the young group that they have with PJ Washington, with Daniel Gafford, with Luka Dončić and others to be able to remain successful in the tough Western Conference. And with a veteran superstar like Kyrie Irving, who's embraced his leadership role with this team has the foundations of being able to be successful for years to come. But that starts with your head coach, your front office, and the consistent ability to remain there at the top for years to come. And the Mavericks have decided that Jason Kidd and Nico Harrison will continue to be those leaders for this organization now and for the foreseeable future. So for the Mavericks, the timing for them was perfect based on what they wanted to do, what could have been out there for Jason Kidd, but most importantly, signaling to Mavericks fans and to those who watch and cover this team that this team's core is going to remain together and do so for the foreseeable future. And that's a good thing for the Dallas Mavericks and what you've been able to see as far as the success of Luka Dončić and Jason Kidd so far. And now adding Kyrie Irving to the mix, the future seems bright for this team. The question will be, can Jason Kidd continue to prove that he is the right man for the job? And if so, the Mavericks are in good position for some time to come. Appreciate you joining us here for this episode of Inside the Mavs. Again, you can download and subscribe to Inside the Mavs on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts for free. Give it a 5-star rating and write a review for it while there. You can like and comment on this video if you're watching this on my YouTube channel at Kevin Gray Sports. And again, thank you to Daniel Gafford, Mavericks Center, for joining me here on this episode of Inside the Mavs. You can also subscribe to Inside the Mavs on YouTube as well. Just search Inside the Mavs. My name is Kevin Gray, Mavericks pre- and post-game host on the Dallas Mavericks Radio Network. I will have your pregame show beginning at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening for game number 1 of the Western Conference semifinals, with tip-off beginning at 8:30 p.m. with the legendary voice of your Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein. So definitely follow me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports for all of your Mavericks coverage throughout the course of the series. I'll have the pregame and also your postgame recaps as well here on YouTube and on the podcast as well, detailing everything that happens in this series between the Mavericks and the Thunder. Again, this has been Inside the Mavs presented by Aura. My name is Kevin Gray, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.